So one of the main talking points I've seen surrounding the Battlefront Classic Collection is about whether or not it is worth the $35 price tag. It is, after all, a near 20-year-old game, with the original versions being like $5 each on Steam, and people are sort of questioning how that can possibly be worth the $35 price tag. Today, I pretty much just wanted to weigh in with my own thoughts and kind of just discuss what we're actually getting to, I guess, help break it down for you guys and figure out whether it is actually worth buying or not. As, like I said, this is essentially the biggest talking point I've seen, and I think it is a very fair discussion to have as well. Now, firstly, the thing to remember with this game is that this version of the game is going to have online support, which the original versions do not have anymore except for on Steam. So, for example, when I've gone and played both 2004 and 2005 on my Xbox, you simply cannot play those games online. Now, obviously that is not the case on Steam, so on PC you can play online, and that's where I see a lot of people saying, oh, I'm just going to stick to that version because I can already play online, why would I bother getting a new one? And that is fair enough. If you already own the games on Steam, then it is definitely fair enough to just play those versions and not bother spending the $35 on this one. The only thing worth keeping in mind there is that if you do regularly play online, there's a fair chance that a lot of that player base, which is already very small of course, will essentially drop off because a lot of those people will buy this upscaled version, and therefore that's obviously going to take away a little bit from that player base that is currently on Steam. Now, in my opinion, this is essentially what we are paying for. We're paying for the online support. As far as I'm concerned, the game may as well be considered to be like $10 for both of the games combined. So like I said, on Steam, they're about $5 each. Consider that you're paying the $10 for both of those games, and then we're sort of paying $25 for online services with 64 player lobbies and stuff like that. To me, breaking it down that way makes it seem a little bit more reasonable as far as I'm concerned, because when I did see the first price tag, I was kind of like, what the hell, how is that worth that much money? But that was before I'd really realized that, yeah, we are getting online support and all that sort of stuff. And I do personally think that is worth a little bit more money. Now, whether it's worth $35, we'll continue to discuss that. But I do think that is worth more money, the fact that we are getting online support. Now, on top of that as well, part of it is that we're also paying for the combination of both. Now, I know that sounds kind of dumb because that just shouldn't, two things that are worth $5 shouldn't be worth $15 when you combine them, if that makes sense. But we do have to remember this is a package, so it's not each individual game. We're actually pretty much going to be playing Battlefront 2005 with those 2004 maps included as well. That alone personally doesn't make it worth the extra money, because like I said, if you have two things that are worth X amount, then it should just double the cost. It shouldn't be like triple the cost for two things being combined, but that in combination with the multiplayer, for me personally, does kind of make it a little bit more worth it. The fact that this is kind of like a big culmination of both of those games with online support, it makes it a much more, I guess, bearable cost for a package like that. Now, before we go any further, I'm actually giving away a copy of the Battlefront Classic Collection. I'm going to be doing it just a day or two before launch next week. And all you guys need to do to enter that giveaway is join the free tier to the Patreon. Yes, there is free Patreon, and joining up will automatically enter you into this giveaway. Now, paid tiers will give you double entry as well. So if you guys are already a paying member, or if you're interested in signing up, you will get double entry into the giveaway, obviously increasing your chances of winning, but you will automatically be entered regardless, even if you join in that free tier as well. Not only am I doing this giveaway, but eventually I will be giving away some of my own merch as well. And at some point throughout this year, I'm actually giving away a couple of lightsabers as well, and all of that will be done through the Patreon. So be sure to go and check it out. The link is at the top of the description. Click that link, click the button that says join for free, and you'll automatically be entered into all of those giveaways. The announcement for the winner will be done over there on the Patreon a day or two before launch. But with that being said, let's get stuck back into the video. Now, aside from just the online support side of things, we are also getting enhanced textures. It's going to be in 4K resolution, and it will be playable in 60 frames per second. And so in that sense, this is somewhat of a remaster. Now, I don't technically think it's a remaster. I personally consider this to be a port. They're just taking a game that is old, and obviously they are combining it and stuff, but they're just taking an old game and porting it to the new consoles. For me, it feels more like a port than a remaster. With that being said, just this year I played The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. That game, the original, came out in 2020, and now in 2024 it has a remaster. The only real difference there, and we're excluding content because there was like the roguelike mode and stuff like that, but in terms of the technical side of it, the only real difference was that it was in 60 frames per second instead of 30. The graphics and stuff weren't really upgraded or anything like that, and that is still considered a remaster. In fact, it is literally in the title, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So although I don't consider the Classic Collection to be a remaster, technically I don't see how it isn't when The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is considered a remaster. So there has been a lot of discussions around that, and I kind of see both sides of it. I don't consider it myself to be a full like remaster of the game or anything, but I also don't think anyone can kind of prove that to be wrong, because like I said, there's other games out there that have done kind of less than this game's doing, and they are considered remasters. So that to me does slightly make the cost of the game a little bit more, like I guess it makes more sense in the fact that, yeah, we are getting some upscaled textures and stuff like that. It is going to be in 60 frames instead of 30, and so yeah, I guess that adds to the quality of the game. It's not going to be drastically different. The game doesn't look crazy different. It's not a genuine like proper remaster where it just looks 10 times better. But what I will say is that if you guys look at the gameplay that has been shown in this video, and then you go and look at the Classic Collection trailer, it is objectively better. It does look like it has been improved a little bit, not a crazy amount, but just in terms of the textures and I guess the clarity around those textures, as well as obviously being in 60 frames per second, the game objectively does look a little bit better. Doesn't look crazy good or anything like that, but it does look a little bit better in my opinion. Now, the final thing to consider is that we are also getting a little bit of extra content than what we originally had, and this is again one of those ones where it's not really new content, but it's also not considered something that was already in the game, because a lot of people haven't played this. So just like I sort of said with the remaster, where I'm not sure if it technically is or isn't, this is kind of in that same boat. Now, we're getting 5 exclusive maps that were not on all previous versions of the game. We're also getting 2 previously exclusive heroes. The maps are Cloud City, Renvar Harbor, Renvar Citadel, and Yavin 4 Arena, as well as then Jabba's Palace from the first game. And then as for the heroes, we're getting Kit Fisto and Asajj Ventress. All of those maps were originally exclusive to certain consoles and platforms, and so therefore technically some of this is quote unquote new content. Now again, it's not new because it was previously in other versions, but as an example, for me personally, I've never played as Kit Fisto and Asajj Ventress, so for me that is new content. I don't care what anyone says, I've never played it. I played hundreds if not thousands of hours of these games, and I've never played as those characters, so to me that is new content. So that is another thing we have to include in the price tag. Again, if you did own the Xbox Live editions of the game, then you've probably played a lot of that stuff, and therefore to you maybe that isn't considered new content, and maybe that makes the price tag not quite as worth it. And that is really just up to you guys to kind of decide whether or not that is worth it. Now, when it comes to me personally, I am okay with that $35 price tag. Now, in the same sentence, if it were up to me, I would probably have made the game $15 to $20, maybe $25 at most, because for me that seems like the sweet spot personally. I feel like that is a more reasonable price, where this is an old game. It is nearly 20 years old, and yes, there have been some slight improvements, but they're not doing anything drastic, at least not as far as we know. For example, we don't expect there to be crossplay, so that is one of those things that they're not adding like a modern feature there. They're not doing anything crazy. They are just kind of bringing us the old game in a way that we can kind of all play it now, where a lot of people probably can't play these games, especially when it comes to that online service. So it's kind of hard to explain. For me, I would make it about, I think, $20. I think that would be a fair price. But with that being said, I'm still okay with the $35 price tag. I just wouldn't really go too much beyond that. If it was like $40, $45, $50, then I would be thinking that they're kind of reaching and getting a little bit scummy with it, because like I said, I do think that roughly $20 price tag would be more fair. But that being said, I'm not a greedy CEO whose life is run by money, so maybe that's the difference there. Obviously the people in charge of these decisions, they just want as much money as they can, and so yeah, because of that, I do get why people are a little bit annoyed about the price. But for me, like I said, $35 is, I guess I would say, reasonable. I'm not happy about that. I would prefer that $20 to $25 price tag, but I'm okay to pay $35 simply because I have never played this game online, not really like consistently anyway. I think I've played it a few times on the PC, but it is definitely going to be nice to be able to play on, you know, the Xbox or the PlayStation and play it online. That is something I'm actually excited for. And so at least for me personally, that makes the $35 okay. And I dare say a lot of people are probably in that same boat. I think this game is going to sell really, really well. And to be honest, with the way the gaming industry is at the moment, we should probably consider ourselves lucky that this isn't a full $70 game, because that is just how the gaming industry is going at the moment. So yeah, $35 for me, I think is reasonable. I would prefer it to be cheaper, but I'm okay with that $35 price tag. I'm keen to hear all of your thoughts though. It is obviously a very divisive topic, so I'm keen to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. I've already seen plenty of this in my comment section over the last 2 weeks, but fully flesh out your thoughts, explain why you don't think it's worth it or you do think it's worth it. I'm keen to read all of those thoughts. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day and may the force be with you always.